Yeah, I do.
Robbie was gonna be here, wasn't he? He told me yes, and co-lead, he didn't respond, but.
It is much cooler on this side of the building than it is on.
It's because I'm.
You know, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did the museum not ask for any money this quarter?
We
He
haven't
was
received it.
here. Well, wasn't he
He
here?
came in Monday, but he didn't mention anything about it, so he didn't turn in anything. We haven't received anything. Which I find irregular.
Right. Very.
Ooh, I bet Art could come up with something interesting for you to do on your culinary delights. Have you watched his culinary delights on Facebook?
We're live.
Wow. Alrighty. Have you already turned it on and started it?
Yes, it's
Oh,
5:15, so.
okay, never mind.
Oops.
Where's our stuff?
We won't talk about yucky stuff.
Did I not
Is
get
this,
that?
that's what this thing?
Oh, what do I
Oh,
have?
here's, we have all
It's
this
just
stuff
him
in here.
here, let's just put him in
Okay.
here.
Wait. That was last time.
Yeah, you gotta go to tab 4. Is yours tab 4? That takes you to this June 29th. There.
Confused me.
That's Mindy. I was like, I went to the front too.
Oh, I missed that one in April. Darn. I was in Florida. I hate that for y'all.
That's terrible.
Yes.
Okay.
As if that weren't enough, she has to tell
One
us
more?
more.
Are you still doing yours?
He's still doing his.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
He's
I
reading.
can look over. At
No,
what we're
you
doing.
wouldn't need to turn
Okay,
in your
I
deal so
will
you get
need
your
to-
score.
Oh,
I would need an amendment to the agenda to add this to the action items.
Madam,
Wait a minute, let me call to order.
Oh,
We don't need to add that?
No.
okay, good.
Okay, never mind. So I do need a motion to approve the agenda though.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay,
Seconded.
that's a good thing. So moved and second to approve the agenda as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. I wasn't here, so
You can
I was in Florida.
move to approve the minutes for the last meeting.
I make a motion to approve the meeting of the motion.
Minutes to approve them.
Last meeting.
All right.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the meeting on April 5th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Discussion, presentation of event holders' disbursement of lodgers' tax funds.
Who's first?
Oh, they're not, this is for the disbursement, from the previous disbursement?
No.
Huh?
For those that submitted.
One submitted.
Like time when we give the individuals.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Rob.
It's a blonde thing.
Okay.
We're live, so I'm trying not to be blonde, but it ain't working.
That yellow
Right.
tab is one that was turned in late. If you can score it real quick and give it to James.
Okay. Does anybody want to make their presentation? Jeez.
Give this to James.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we submitted two requests. One was for Live on Love Street. That is our final concert of the summer concert series. It's our fourth annual. We're going to be hosting William Clark Green, and the sponsorship, the lodgers tax money that we are are requesting is basically so we can do some outside funding. The last one, we were able to get funding in for lodger's tax through Lubbock Avalanche, and they're very expensive. But it was, you know, a lot of our money went outside of the region. Hopefully that brought in some people in. And the other one is for our Roundup sale, which,
Sorry. I keep trying and apparently I didn't hit the wrong button. Hit the right button. Okay.
which is basically the no tax weekend, and it's one of our standard promotional events we get with downtown businesses and give them advertising that we use lodger's tax money for. And I can
And that's
answer.
the weekend of the fair?
Yes, ma'am. Questions?
I have something that I wanted to propose just as a whole in general, as far as how we approach, say, the KLEA and KZOR and the newspaper print ads. Is there any way that we as a lodger's tax board can get together and bargain with them and say, okay, we want to buy X amount of spots, and then we award those spots to the people that ask us? Because I don't know if anybody has ever calculated how much monies go toward each radio station and each, you know, to see, I mean, all the monies, so much of our monies are directly to those organizations. Is there anybody we can barter with or buy X amount of spots and
They-
see if there's
I
any
think
savings that can be made?
Right, I agree.
And then we hand out, like, they come in as we need
If-
this many newspaper ads or whatever, and we hand them out like that.
If
Is
I
that
may,
a
Art?
possibility?
So sometimes John will work deals out with us directly. So the cost that you see there is if he doesn't work out a deal with me, but most of the times he will at the end of it. No, Mark will not. There's like some weird thing that they can't work deals out with nonprofits. He's really good about getting us our bang for, what is it, bangs for our money?
More bang.
But yeah, but he's never been able to do a deal with us. So that one would be good. And Hobbs' new son, they kind of don't give me deals either. It's just John that does it. And then actually, like, he'll be like, okay, well, how much money do you have to spend? And I'll tell him, he's like, okay, I'll give you X amount of ads and I'll throw in 2 extra free. And I'm like, okay, cool, we'll do that.
That's cool, and
So-
I like the idea of that, and I'm wondering if we can, you know, as a board, present to them and get a better deal for all of our nonprofits that ask for advertising monies.
Well,
That
that's a
would be
good,
cool.
that's a good idea, but maybe you could ask them next time, since we have the foundation, the chamber, EDC, and
Main Street.
Main Street.
and-
all asking for advertising. Can we, basically, since all the money comes from lodger's tax, can we do a better deal? Is
Yeah,
what you're
that's what
saying.
I'm asking. Can we get a better deal from, say, the newspaper and from the radio stations if we buy a bigger chunk all at once and say, we want to buy this many spots, and then when they're asked for it, we're like, okay, we've got, you know, we could give you this many spots, and there's this much available, or... I know it's probably more work, it's just something I thought about as far as, because I see how many of these dollars go directly to advertising, like
Right.
for newspaper, print, and for radio ads.
And being that they're all coming from lodger's tax.
They are, it's like, can't we get a better deal than that? I mean, if we pool all of the people that ask for
Okay, who's
advertising.
gonna check into that, Mata? Are we gonna make her check into that, James?
We could, or
Okay.
we could call.
James could probably call and ask
We
him
can
too.
call. It's not a big deal.
So
Okay.
can Mata?
I mean, you're my boss, just. Yes, if you want me to.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I just look at the totals at the end sometimes, and I see how many thousands of dollars there are
Going to
for
that
an
one,
event,
yeah.
and then I look at what it's for, and it's
Always
always
the
advertising.
same.
I'm like, man, they make a lot of money off of lodger's tax just on advertising. Can't we do something to?
Set, we can take
Offset that.
KLEA off because
KLEA
they're
off.
closing.
Oh,
They won't be
June
doing any
30th,
more.
tomorrow's their last day,
oh,
broadcasting.
So no monies to KLEA.
okay. All right, that was
When
just
we
a
get
thought
that
that I
land
had that maybe.
Do I?
So I wonder what we buy that land for. Okay. My wheels are always turning. Okay, Ms. Starr,
The Lee Community Foundation for the Arts asked for 2 different events. We have the Reels and Wheels, which is our car show fundraiser for the Lee Theater. And we asked for monies to go towards promoting that, prints and, to try to get, we did have several from out of town last year, but we'd like more out of town cars to come, so we definitely want to do that. Our second event is our newer event, the Downtown Throwdown, which is the boxing match that we'll have on Central. And being a new event, we definitely want to promote that pretty big and hopefully we're definitely going to have the boxers coming in from out of town, so we have revenue from that. And I'm sure they'll bring guests that want to see them.
Do you guys have anywhere in particular you guys are looking for your boxers?
Just
Like Paso
New
or-
Mexico boxers. And we are working with the man from the School of Hard Knocks in Hobbs, and he rallies those together, and he has put on several of these boxing events around the state. And they are really supported by those communities, so we hope our community supports that too. We've kind of put some feeds out there, and everybody's really excited about it, so.
would you go to a boxing match?
Me? Yes.
I'm just asking, just in general.
No, yeah, I would.
I wouldn't. Would
I would
you?
be in a boxing match.
Oh, that's why you asked where we're looking for our fighters. Art wants to be one.
So how do you get money, make money, it's a fundraiser for the boxing match, how do you get paid?
We're charging tickets. It'll be ringed off, it'll be fenced off, and half of it will be a beer garden side, which charges more just to get in. And then half of it will be just general admission, which you have to pay to get in. So you have to pay to watch these events. And then we will also have food vendors, so we'll be getting that. And sponsorships.
So it's gonna be like you can watch from the beer garden area
Mhm.
and be, have your beer.
Yes, if
Right
you
there
want
inside
to
if you want.
pay a more expensive ticket, that way you can drink beer while you watch. That's,
Okay.
Have your not so common,
Huh?
the not so common.
Mhm.
It was okay. I really liked the other one. Okay.
anything else?
Okay, you're up.
Well, guys, this year marks 20 years of doing this tournament. And
How many years?
20 years.
20 years.
Does that mean I've been here for
20 years. I've been playing out there since I was 15 out at the complex. But I've been doing the tournaments themselves for 20 years. And it's awesome. It just gets bigger and better every year. The only reason I'm asking for a little bit more money for the 20th year, because if you guys help me out and pay more of the shirts, it'll give me more money to spend towards better prizes to get better teams. Last year we started giving away bats and we got a better turnout. Hobbs has been doing that, so they've been doing pretty good. So we're trying to stay, in competition with them and kind of, we don't have the fields as nice as they do to get 100 teams. If we can get 30, 40 teams, it'll be even better down here.
So is that what we're shooting for, 30 to 40 teams? How many teams have you kind of had in the last few years?
The most we've had in July, we've had 29 teams.
Cool.
But, if I can advertise online and through Facebook to these teams in the area that come around from the area, they can see that we're giving better prizes, better stuff for first, including all the shirts for everybody. We'll get a lot more teams coming in.
And you can put our lodger's tax on the shirts, right?
Yes. Yes, of course.
And most of those people come and stay in the motels.
Yes.
So the Comfort Inn will be filling up.
Yeah, everybody likes the one across the street.
Yeah, it's a
Nice.
very convenient location for that,
Yes.
because they can just walk over there.
Yes.
They don't have to drink and drive.
Oh, yeah.
Not that they drink out there. I'm pretty sure y'all don't drink beer out there, so.
They drink it in their rooms and wherever they're camping at.
That's where you should have a beer garden.
You should have a beer garden out there.
I wouldn't want to be in charge of that. I'd just let Stripes do their thing and let them sell it.
Smart man, smart man.
Yeah, that's too many things to do out there, having to do that.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys have to pay for your like referee, your umps and all
Yes.
that kind of stuff?
I pay insurance.
Field fees and all that kind of stuff? or-
Field fees, no.
Okay,
I
cool.
don't pay no field fees. I pay insurance to protect the city, keep them from any liability. I pay for all the SSA officials because the tournament has to be sanctioned. It can't just be a backyard tournament.
Okay.
So yes, I pay everybody that comes in, and out of the money that everybody puts in for their entry fee, I still got to pay for each team out of that money, and then I pay everybody else, and then I put everything towards the prizes that we give away. And I've gotten hooked up with the same guy that does the ones from Hobbs, and he's been trying to help me out and trying to keep me up there with, being competitive with the Hobbs tournaments. So that helps out a lot. So he's not charging me as much as everybody else was around here, and I give more colors on the designs and way better designs. And they were just too plain from here.
That's kind of like.
Do you guys
smoking
change
on
them
the
every
ground.
year? Do you
Yes.
change your logo or your
Yes.
design thing every year?
Every year's a different one, yes.
Sweet.
And I got all of them.
Nice.
All 20.
Yes. All 20 from this tournament and all 7 from the one in March and the one coming up in November. So that was creeping up behind too. We're fixing to have 7 years on that one.
When is this tournament? What's the dates? I can't remember.
The 15th and 16th?
Of
November.
No, this
July.
one.
July.
Oh, this one.
This one's July. The next one will be, I believe, November 10th and 11th.
I'll be getting a new baby about then. Okay, any questions, comments, discussion? Where'd James go?
That's pretty.
Did you, I just have to ask, did you not have, I have an old form for you, for your.
Yeah, who?
The form you used is an old
It was
one.
a really old one, so the questions are kind of a little different now.
Yeah.
In the museum, did he die while I was gone?
We're live. We're live.
I don't care.
I asked the same question, but I didn't put that last part on there.
No, wait. You missed it.
Yeah,
Oh.
you missed it.
You can go back and look at the recording.
Oh, okay, I'll watch it.
It reminded me we were live. Ooh. Followed by, I really don't care.
That's good, that's good. Good times, good times.
Question.
Sure.
As far following the discussion a minute ago, what if we set aside a portion of estimated yearly lodger's tax funds, excuse me, for radio and whatever advertising? And then the request come out of that total amount rather than, and which might encourage some more different avenues, whatever.
I don't see why we couldn't.
I mean, it's just a,
I mean, that's a different, definitely a different way of.
Can you explain, well, I guess you explained it the last meeting and I missed it.
I wasn't here.
I wasn't even.
See what you missed?
So,
Can't miss a meeting. 40 stuff happens.
so out of the lodger's
We
tax
changed
now, right off the top is coming, and that's gonna be on
Actually,
this.
there's more. Hold on. Back that up.
Really? Did he turn them in today?
Who?
On the museum?
What are you talking about?
It says pending expenses from the museum.
Are you
That was
looking
last.
No,
Are you
that
looking
was
at the
last
right, you have to
one.
get to the right one.
I am at the right one. You're at the wrong one. Don't confuse me.
Well, I'm not.
Oh,
Okay.
So what I'm asking is, has he already turned in his invoices?
No, they haven't posted yet.
But
We'll be getting them within the next 15 days or so.
But he's supposed to have them in by tomorrow. For this quarter.
No.
Oh, they
within
just have to
15
spend
days.
the
They
money.
have to spend the money in this
Okay,
quarter,
never mind.
yes.
Okay. Whoop. I'm locking that comfort in. What happened to the Lovington inlets?
No comment.
Comfort Inn's getting on it. You have to, yes, you have, right here. It is,
We were-
yeah.
A month ago, targeted for a Holiday Inn Express.
What happened? Fell apart? Not completely?
Not completely.
I'll work. Okay, James?
Yeah, I've got to make an adjustment on our formula real quick.
So even that Comfort Inn brought in, we still have $18 to
Okay, so we got a new copier today, so I won't be able to provide you with a paper copy like real quick, but let me go through the financial report. So we have, all the 8,800 in pending expenses. Then, of course, our projected revenues. This is, we're expecting 26,421. Now that is taking 20% off of what our actuals were the last year. And we're pretty close to where we were the same time this last year on it. So we're looking at total available right now of 45,000. So, of course, we did make some changes. Let me focus on this real quick. So one of the things that we had to do, of course, we had to split up some of the general fund expenses. We're actually, based on our projections of what we'll receive in lodger's tax this year, we're only obligated to spend, I think it was $11,800 on events like this. The rest of it can go towards municipal funding. So what we did was we are taking 50% of the $47,000 that we provide the chamber each year. 50% of that, or $23,500, is coming out of lodger's tax. So that increased their dedicated funding to Main Street. We are taking $15,000 of their $50,000 that we provide them every year, putting that towards lodger's tax. We also have municipal funding, which we're using to fund fireworks. And we're also using to paint, actually the projects we identified were painting the commercial hotel and also the Denton building. So we have about $32,250.
Commercial hotel.
The museum.
Oh.
So that leaves us with estimated funding, and what I did for the municipal funding, I just divided that equally per quarter. So our estimated available funding is $27,000. Whenever you look at leaving that $4,000 in reserve, we have $23,000 that we can spend at maximum. So when you look at the, let me zoom this back out. When we look at this, As far as how the scoring is, we do have a little bit of leeway to increase funding, if the board so desires.
Increase funding to,
Well, right now, the recommended funding, based on the evaluations, is a total of 18,000.
oh, okay.
So we actually have a little bit of leeway.
We have 23,000.
Mhm.
Instead of 18.
Yeah, instead of the 18. So we actually, if you really want to, we have about, that's funny. We have about $5,100 available.
To divide.
One,
Or we
well,
can-
or we could just bank that.
Thank you.
One thing that I would think would, out of all of the events and that we do have, I only really see two that have the potential to generate a lot more than the normal heads and beds, and that's actually the boxing match as well as Alfredo's tournament. Alfredo's tournament brings in a lot.
Yes.
So honestly, if you wanted my recommendation, if I was in your shoes, I would increase those two.
I agree.
The only thing wrong with, not wrong, excuse me, the only thing about the boxing is
It's a brand new event.
Yes, sir.
But we really,
And they
you
have-
should really pour money into it when it's a brand new event.
Not that much.
It's hard to say that because,
They've got 5,200.
If I may on that part, it's gonna be 10 to 15 boxing matches, and at least 8 of them are gonna be from Hobbs, and the other 8 are gonna be from out of town, so we're gonna need a minimum of 10 rooms for sure.
Oh, no, he's saying that it's better to give
No,
them.
but Bobby was saying since it's new, but I mean, you're at least guaranteed some rooms that they're gonna have to stay here.
oh, I understand. I can only tell you my usual formula is for every $1,000 you need to generate 200 rooms. So 8 is not a lot. I mean, but that's true of all of these events. It's not just your event. So with additional revenues that we are experiencing, then I would really like to examine kind of what we were talking about earlier, and maybe dedicate projections. Now that we have a few months that we can project off of, come up with some projections for a yearly, and then allocate. I mean, I really like the way that whatever portion the city and general funding is. I think that's really good, and that's typically how it's done. And then if and when we push the spending in certain areas, and which is, of course, those are to be determined by somebody, not necessarily us or whatever, but some consensus on it. Now that we possibly have enough money to make a difference, and I'm open to working with it. I would say, of course, everybody needs the money, but stockpile it.
There's five.
No, like just the foundation.
Yeah, it'd be, there's
1,000.
five, there'd be 5 of them,
No,
5 events.
but some of them have 2 deals. So there's actually just 3. There's foundation.
The foundation,
The
Main
foundation
Street, and
has 2,
softball.
Main Street
That's all
has
that-
2, and, well,
Have to have
So-
one.
that's what I'm saying, so 1,000, that gives them each entity 1,000, not each.
I would
Event.
not
Not
maybe,
each,
I would
not each
maybe-
event, 1,000 per
Entity.
entity, yeah, and then that way we can still pocket 2,000.
I
and
think,
give them 3.
well, we don't even need to pocket the 2,000 based
Well,
on
as I said, we could-
projections.
you could-
I'm saying give the softball 2,000 more, and the boxing match some more. And the Main Street, we're good with that. They're good with that, I should say.
For y'all's information, honestly, I weigh very heavily how much you bring in versus what you ask for. So
That's me too.
for your information, I don't hide anything, but you were asking, and I'm not picking on you. It just so happens I just read yours, so it's fresh in my memory. You were asking for 15,000, and you had 5,000 worth of private. So, you know, you're bringing up 1/3 of the total amount that you're matching, whereas someone that is matching nearly dollar for dollar gets a whole lot more weight in that area on my score sheet. So I can't speak for anybody else up here, but I'm just kind of giving you guidelines which to go by. Or to expect by, excuse me.
Yes.
Which event are you talking about? I'm sorry.
Oh, just your boxing match. And I said I'm using it just because I just scored it, you know, when I walked in. So it was fresh on my mind, and I'm not.
In other words, like our smoking on the plaza, we get so much money, but we also have to raise for donations.
You know, part of it is because it is a new event, so we don't know how much we can actually raise. We do have
Right.
sponsorship forms,
Oh, sure.
so
Do you guys know how much you're gonna charge yet for ticket seats,
it's
sales
gonna
and all
be
that?
$30 for the beer garden seating and $15 for the non-beer garden. So,
And then they have to buy their beer
And
also.
then, yeah,
And
that
then-
doesn't include the beer.
yeah.
Darn.
Like I drink beer anymore. Sounds good. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion, sir.
I'm not
Ma'am?
making one.
Sir, somebody.
I was gonna entertain just go with the recommended and stockpile the others and
I was
see how
trying
we
to
go along.
give a little
So,
and keep a little.
well, then that's what I'm saying. If somebody wants to make something
make a-
different, I will
make a motion.
definitely.
Lisa.
Well, I just think we have three entities. We have the foundation, we have Main Street, and Wild Bunch. Just give each one $1,000. Say Wild Bunch get an extra 1,000.
Oh, there's his
Yeah.
recommendation, maybe. You're gonna have to reduce that a little bit.
Yeah,
Why would we have,
because it's
Oh, 'cause
19.
19, and I thought we only, oh, we have 23. Never mind.
I thought we had 8. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're doing that.
Yeah,
Did you do that by percentage? Or
yes.
actually, I just looked at, you know, taking into account that this one, it is, you know, a 20th anniversary historically.
Mhm.
Hotels, well, I know the Comfort Inn, the last one was completely booked.
Right.
Yes.
So we know it generates room nights. With Downtown Throwdown, I think it is a new event. I think it has the potential, but like you said, it is that new event. I don't particularly care for boxing. I will probably go just to see what it's like. But probably. But I mean, that's just mine, and taking into account, you know, we don't know what the next quarter may be like. I'm hoping that this is going to gain some momentum.
Let's put 5,000 on the
Oil did
Wild
tank.
Bunch.
And we
They
will
only
see the
offered-
results
asked
of that
39. They're getting their whole amount.
pretty quickly.
Oh,
They're getting everything they
Okay.
asked for, so they're at their max.
And that's why I
I
didn't
see what you're
increase
saying.
that
Mhm.
above what they actually requested.
okay.
Yeah. So we're helping them with what he said, so they're done. But, so, we're gonna pocket the rest then. That's fine with me. I just was trying to give a little and keep a little.
But we do have to remember that this is not real money. This is an estimate.
Projected.
And the
Okay.
last year, actually it wasn't this particular quarter, it was the quarter before last. We gave out excess funding and everything went down, and we wound up in the hole, and we only wound up with $7,000 that quarter and didn't award anything.
And then one quarter, we didn't even find anything.
Right.
Because we were trying
And
to
that's
get
what
out of
I'm
that.
saying. Oil's at low 40s, very, very low 40s right now. It's already starting to decline, I can assure you. And we will see the effects of this over the next 2 or 3 months.
You think in the next quarter?
Okay, gloom and doom, you can
Yeah.
leave now.
That's what I was like.
I guarantee you, I've got my finger on it as close as I can, so.
Pooh. I don't like that, but anyway.
back in minutes. The whole poo part.
Pooh. I didn't say a batty bird. You said poo.
All right, I make a recommendation that we, I make a motion that we accept the city manager's recommendation as presented on the board. And move it along.
I second. I
Moving and
second.
seconded to accept the city manager's recommendation as presented on the board. Is there any further discussion, comments, questions?
Hurry.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Does the public want to comment? Is there any other that you need to go over with us?
Oh, other than, one of the things that we're having to do is look at board attendance. And we received direction from the city commission to follow what's in the ordinance. So if you are going to be absent, please communicate the reason for your absence with the chair. Because if you don't, when you miss 2 consecutive meetings, it's grounds for immediate termination.
I'm gonna miss the next 2 meetings.
I was fixing to say, you just gave us a way out.
Whatever
You
those
just give
dates
us a
are,
way
Joanna, I'm gonna be out of town those days.
So, well, within reason. And the
Don't even
whole
think
point
about it.
is that we've had a couple of meetings where we weren't able to even make quorum. And this actually came from, well, the planning and zoning board brought this up, that if, people do have reasons to miss meetings, however, we need active people. And this is not one of those boards where we have that problem, but we're treating every board the same and just letting everybody know the direction that commission gave to us on Monday.
I can give you a letter any second.
Will you do that all the time?
Huh? I could.
Were you on that board?
I did this
No.
on
She got off.
Monday.
Oh, no, you weren't on when we resigned.
No. No, I took, Tony put me on here.
Are we?
Oh,